Hello, friends. Welcome to Accelerate Data Movement to Azure Cosmos DB with Fivetran, part of our Azure Cosmos DB Global User Group for February 2024. That's where we are now. I'm Jay Gordon. I'm coming to you from the icy tundra known as Brooklyn, New York, here to guide you through the exploration of using Azure Cosmos DB to its fullest potential. So before we get into today's session, I wanted to remind you that the Azure Cosmos DB Conf 2024, it's our yearly conference, our CFP is just about to close, and we'd love you to be part of the event. So go ahead, take a look. We want you to be a voice at Azure Cosmos DB Conf. I will go ahead and add the URL for the CFP to close in the chat. Now, before we get into today's session, I just want you to quickly take a look at this video. It's just a little look back at what we did in 2023 at Azure Cosmos DB Conf. Let's take a look back at Azure Cosmos DB Conf 2023.
Welcome to Azure Cosmos DB Conf 2023. This is the third time we're doing it, and it's so amazing to be here.
Now, what's new in Cosmos DB? Let's talk about a year has passed since we last talk to you at this conference.
Questions we will want to answer with our log analytics workbook.
Hi, I'm Emily Sizek, and I am the CEO of The Postage. We are a private...
So we actually do have some shout outs from people from around the world. So let's give a big one.
So why is data modeling important? One of the best things about the presentation today is I'm going to show you how.
Lower the range, it's up to you. We tend to see a lot of customers lower by 5-10% at a time until they finally find the sweet spot where the utilization.
Today we'll be talking about Azure Cosmos DB or modeling.
Okay, so what does a composite look like, and how do we know when we need one?
So we can't wait to see you again next year, and until then, keep reaching for the stars with your apps powered by Azure Cosmos DB.
Don't miss out on your chance to be part of Azure Cosmos DB Conf 2024. Submit your session today. CFP closes on February 15th. So be a voice this year at Azure Cosmos DB Conf. We really want to hear from you. Submit your session today. And also, don't forget, block out your calendar for the actual show, April 16th, 2024, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific. You can go to aka.ms, Azure Cosmos DB Conf, and keep your eyes on what's coming. We got some real big talks to pick out. So much to do. So let's get back to today's show, though. So we're thrilled to have Kelly Koleffel. I'm going to say his name right. I'm going to do it every single time. From Fivetran, he's going to be joining us. He's a seasoned expert in the field of data solutions. He's going to be shedding some light on how Fivetran, their technology seamlessly integrates with Cosmos DB and Fabric OneLake. So let me bring up this little thing. I want you to get ready for a deep dive into streamlining your data movement, enhancing your lakehouse architecture, automating data pipelines. So it's a really big day for our data forward people who are watching today. If you've got a lot of questions, don't worry about it. We're going to have you part of it. So keep them rolling in the chat. And remember, our user group, it meets monthly. And to be honest with you, I can't do it without you. I need your help. I need you as the community members to go ahead and take part. So if you have a session you would love to submit, let me go ahead and grab you this, and I'm going to put it in the comments. Go ahead, submit a session to us. We would love to have you be part of a future one of these meetups. So go ahead, submit your session. Cool. Well, I think we're ready to kind of start bringing in. We've got through so much. Askia, you come and you help us out every single time we do one of these. We do them once a month, and you help do a little bit of the housekeeping to let everybody know what we're doing and the way we should be doing it. So hi, Askia. You're on mute, man. It's the way the world works now.
Sorry about that. Hello, Jay. Hello, everyone. We're not quite cold tundra Brooklyn, but it's we're a little soggy Seattle. Typical rainy Pacific Northwest. But my name is Askia. I'm the facilities coordinator here at the Redmond Reactor Space. We do have a few housekeeping tips to just go over. Basically, before we start, we want to have you take a look at a code of conduct, which we did post in the chat. And basically what we're doing is we just try to seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We would ask everyone to remain professional, try to remain on topic, and just pretty much be kind to each other. We're going to share useful links throughout the chat, so keep an eye open for that. And this session is going to be recorded, so we will make this available on the Microsoft YouTube Reactor channel and other places online in about 24 to 48 hours after the session concludes. So with that said, I will hand it back over to Jay and let Jay and Kelly get started.
Well, thank you, Askia. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you at the bottom of the hour to kind of close out. So appreciate you. So now that we've got through what I believe is the bulk of the housekeeping, it is time to bring in the guest. And so I'm bringing in today, I've got Kelly Koleffel from Fivetran. He leads the global partner sales engineering org there, collaborates with so many people around the ecosystem of technology, consulting partners that you work with. Hey, Kelly, how are you today?
Jay, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the reactor today. I am really looking forward to the discussion.
And you know what? We're really glad you're here. So I brought up, and I'm going to bring this back up again. I thought this was a really great way, and I'm going to give you a chance to kind of talk about the things that we said today was kind of be focused on. Before that, though, I need to learn a little bit about you, and I want our audience to kind of know who you are, what you do. I gave just a brief introduction to what I know you do, but I'd like to hear one. How did you get here? What was your road to eventually becoming part of a show like this? You started somewhere, you eventually ended up at Fivetran. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'm Jay. I'm one of those folks who really doesn't want to tell you how long I've been in the data space. It's been a while, multiple iterations, going back for relational databases, even prior to that, all the way through, things like appliances and Hadoop land and all that kind of stuff. And it's just been, I think you and I were talking a little bit earlier. You have to learn something new every day. And it doesn't matter if you've been in this industry, in data, working with databases like Cosmos DB and all the other databases out there. If you've been doing it for 10 years, you've been doing it for 10 minutes or a year, whatever it is, every single day, there's something else new. And for me, that's kind of what keeps me fresh. I just love trying new things out. And it's really cool in this role at Fivetran. I've spent time at multiple product companies, Oracle, Hortonworks. I've spent a lot of time in consulting as well. So data consulting with companies like HashMap. I was with NTT Data post-acquisition for 15, 16 months. And I just noticed that, the minute you go, hey, I know it all, you start becoming stale. And this thing, we've got Gen AI, which is taking off right now. It's just all new. So it's a lot of fun to be here, get to talk a little bit about what Fivetran and Microsoft are doing together, especially in the area of Cosmos DB and OneLake.
Well, that's great. And as far as like learning something new every day, I've always been of the belief that comfort breeds apathy. Once you've gotten too comfortable doing the same things and you aren't taking in new information, you tend to become a little apathetic and you just kind of focus on what you know and you don't really focus on what you could know. And so meeting with people like yourself who has this ability to give me, I don't know a ton about Fivetran, and I don't know how, to be honest with you, Fabric is still so new that I am not really completely up to speed quite yet. So having someone that's not only implemented it, but implemented in the real world scenarios that involve customers, that stuff is really important for me to hear. So that being said, I want to come back and kind of just say what we're going to kind of key in on. We're going to be talking about uncomplicating that data movement. Can you just give me like a brief, aside from the making it smooth that is a breeze, just a quick what you meant when you wrote that for me?
I think that a lot of times, and you were talking about, being around for a while, getting set in your ways. And I was talking to the CEO at Census. This is probably a year and a half, 2 years ago now. Boris Japis. He said, Kelly, when you're building something, whether it's a data product or data service or a software product itself, he said you can build a cathedral, build a house, but he really recommends start with a shed. Start with something that's functional, relatively simple, relatively uncomplicated, but you get to value fairly quickly. And to me, that's what we need in data programs today. The days of spending 8, 10, 12, 15, 16 sprints to put out one data product, those are over. If you're doing that today, you become irrelevant immediately. And so to me, keeping it simple. Now you can have a lot of things behind the scenes, but rely on cloud service providers like Microsoft Azure, like Fivetran to take care of all that complication for you. Give me simple and let me get to data outcomes quickly.
Cool. All right. So now enhancing your lakehouse architecture for someone who may not be complete, unless I'm digging into your presentation too much. What can you just give me a 30-second on what a lakehouse is?
Yeah, I think to me, the lake, when you think about data workloads today, it's no longer about just a cloud data warehouse or a data lake for that matter, two workloads, right? You've got new data applications that you want to create. You've got data engineering workloads. You've got AI, ML, and Gen AI workloads that are supporting your large language models. You've got maybe cyber workloads. It's this range of workloads. And to me, that's what a lakehouse does is regardless of the workload, I want to be able to run a variety of data access engines against that. And OneLake's doing that in a really elegant way today. What's required for all of those data workloads, though, is I've got to have high quality usable data sitting in the lakehouse. And that's what Fivetran does. Gotcha.
And so we got one more little point to hit before I'm going to hand this over to you. I want to give you the keys to drive the car. Also automating data pipelines. We all know automation all the time, always when it comes to working with repetitive tasks. But can you give me a little bit of look into the data pipeline that you think we should be paying attention to in these scenarios?
Yeah, I give you a quick personal story. I was helping my son move yesterday, and he had a table that would not fit up the stairs. It was a kind of a round table, wouldn't fit up. And so we could take it apart, and he didn't have a automated screwdriver drill type setup. And so it was manual. And I think there were 8 or 10 screws on this table. And not only did it take a long time, my wrist and arm were really getting fatigued. And I was thinking about that in terms of automation and how difficult when you're creating data pipelines and data movement scenarios from scratch manually. There still could be reasons to do that. I mean, Fivetran's not perfect. We don't handle every single scenario out there. But if you're doing that on a regular basis, that can become really problematic. What I tell people is if you're looking at a data lakehouse platform, if you're looking at data movement platforms, if you're looking at data consumption platforms, look for fully automated, fully managed. Let the cloud service providers take the hard work out. Get me out of the infrastructure game. I don't want to be in the infrastructure game anymore. Let Microsoft do that. Let Fivetran do that for you.
Yeah, I've been in this world for about, 24 years. About 24 years. And in that 24 years, the one thing that I have taken as one of the most important things is, one, if you have a cloud architecture, you are going to be infinitely more capable of scale at better costs for you, utilizing those cloud services to offload things like, I remember the days of having to go to the data center, rack and stack just to be able to get started. Nobody wants to do those types of things anymore. We want to leverage services that are out there. And so today, you're going to be talking about leveraging some cloud services. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of space to go ahead and do that. I know you got a presentation. I'm going to bring that up. You're going to show us a little bit of what you've got today. And I want to remind everybody, if you are in the chat, go ahead, leave a question. We'll get it to Kelly as soon as we can. But until we do, Kelly, I'm going to hand over the keys to the show. You go ahead and drive. If I need to pop in, I will.
Jay, thanks so much. All right, let's get it going. You and I hit on this a good bit. I did want to tell everybody too, I would love to connect with you. I'm a big believer in the power of the data community. This Azure Cosmos DB global user group is one great example of that. And I would absolutely encourage you, please connect with me on LinkedIn, share some ideas, share some thoughts. You'll see a lot of Fivetran goodness coming through my LinkedIn feed, but overall, just connect with me and reach out if I can help in any way. When I was talking to Jay about, what would be most valuable here, I number one, I want to hear from everybody that's on this session today on the show. I'd like to hear from you, get some perspectives. I'll give you a few of mine. I'll tell you a lot of these perspectives are Kelly's perspectives versus Fivetran's perspectives. Having been around a long time, seen a lot. So if you see something you don't agree with, reach out to me directly. Ping me on that LinkedIn QR code. Please don't reach out to Fivetran. We'll talk about the data movement challenge. We'll go into some use case examples. How does Cosmos DB and some of these other data sets, when it comes to maybe a retail use case or manufacturing use case, how do they play in together? And why is it so important to consolidate these for whether it be analytics, new data products, et cetera, that you're building out? And then the core part of this, we're going to spend most of our time demoing and really digging into how Fivetran, how Cosmos DB, and how OneLake in the context of Fabric operate together. So that's really what I have for you today. Let's get it going. Perspectives wise, I want to do this. There's a link in. Okay, wow, people are already hitting it. We've got the link in the chat window. You can also take a picture of that QR code right there if you want. And you can also go out to menti.com, use code 45933471. I'd really like to know how well you know Fivetran. There's no bad answers here. If Fivetran is brand new to you, that's awesome, not a problem at all. If Fivetran happens to be your go-to for data movement, that is good too. So feel free to vote. I see a couple of votes in there. And right now the lead is Fivetran is brand new. So we'll keep your Menti tab up. If you've got it up in your browser, you've got it up on your phone, because I got a couple more things for you there that I'd like to hear from you on. So for those who Fivetran is not as familiar, I thought I'd give you one quick sort of marketing slide that gives you some context for Fivetran. Almost 9,000 customers today. Fivetran is an automated data movement platform. So we really focus only on that. We're not a data governance tool. We're not a cloud data platform solution. We focus on faithfully moving data from source to destination. And that's all our engineering team does. We are really passionate about platform uptime. Jay and I talked a little bit about fully managed, fully automated. And that's something that I think about it, don't make me keep my fingers crossed, hoping that these pipelines are going to deliver data when they're supposed to. I want to have that, reliability. I want to have that automation that's going to happen. And we're just moving an awful lot of data all the time. Our overall vision hasn't changed. Make this process, make data movement as easy as basically flipping on your lights. We do that across all geographies, all size customers, small companies, all the way up to the largest enterprises in the world. All right, here's another question for you. Let's get an idea here. Okay, let me go to the next one here. What is your biggest data challenge? So this is one for me personally. I mentioned to Jay, I spent a lot of time in the consulting world. I've been at Fivetran a couple of years running partner sales engineering. Prior to that, though, it was 6 years in kind of modern data approach type consulting, tools, technologies, approaches, people. How do you put all those three dimensions together and come out with something at the end that's meaningful and valuable to your company? And if I sat down with a CIO, a CTO, a CDO, or CDO, what I would usually ask is something along these lines. What's your biggest data challenge? I don't see anybody voting yet. Let's get a couple of votes in there, hopefully. The biggest data challenge. And generally, what people would tell me is, well, Kelly, you've got what, 6, 7 options there. I've got a lot more challenges than that. and they just never end. Give me an all of the above. Give me, plus, plus, plus here. So all of these, I firmly believe all of these are things that if you have the right architecture, if you have the right approach, if you have the right people, these can all be addressed. They may continue to crop up, may have a DQ issue, may have a new, data silo that crops up from a new application that comes in. The biggest one for me is that one right on the far left side, which looks like it's tied at the moment. Time. Let me skip over here to the next slide. Time is so critical. When I think about, again, coming from the consulting side, when I think about time for one data pipeline, I want to move data from one source to one destination. There are, let's just go build this. Okay. Yeah. Well, somebody's got to design it. Somebody's got to build it. Somebody's got to test it, document it, deploy it, automate it, maintain. And oh, by the way, what about when something changes and you've got to refactor for this weird thing that cropped up? I don't know, just a DML change, a DDL change, this, that, whatever that may be. How many sprints? I don't know. Some people may want to pop in the chat. When I ask this question of consulting firms and end customers, generally the number of sprints to build one custom pipeline is somewhere between 6, 8, and 10 sprints. So you're talking somewhere upwards of 20 weeks at the high end. And if folks are really honest with you, they say, well, Kelly, it just really never ends because I've got to continue to maintain it. I've got to continue to refactor for edge cases. And that's if I can fit this new requirement into my existing backlog. Because everybody is inundated with the requests for, hey, I need this data set, this one. You got applications, databases, file systems, eventing systems. Everybody's got to have a new data source right now feeding into their lakehouse platform. And I was thinking about this this week. This is the first time actually I've shown this slide, but I talk about this. I said, how can I maybe graphically represent this? And so you have two dimensions here. You have the relevancy side. How relevant are you in your organization for a given data product or service? And then how relevant, how does that relevancy in your organization decrease as you give the data program leader or, whoever that ELT team member is, give me 2 more weeks, give me 2 more weeks, has anybody ever been in 2 more weeks syndrome? Get just 1 more sprint. That's all I need. 1 more sprint, done. Well, maybe. But a lot of times you get into 2 more weeks syndrome. I kid around. My son's a data engineer. I kid around with him about this a lot. He does not get into 2 more weeks syndrome, but we've talked about that with other folks. Then you go, well, why does this happen? Why does this happen? And Jay asked me about a couple of these. Like, architectures can be really complex. They're not simple enough. They're not automated enough. They're not fully managed. They're not self-serve. I've got to have crazy skills to keep this stuff up and running. Reliability, predictable. Enterprises want standardization, predictability, and reliability. Sure, you want performance. Yes, you want security. You want repeatability and scalability. But man, I've got it. If I build a data movement pipeline, let me repeat that over and over and over and do it pretty much in the same way, regardless of what that data source is or ultimately what that destination is. So let me know if you like that. Literally, this is the first time I've shown this slide. This is just kind of on the side this week thinking, how can I represent this? Let me know if you like that or not. Okay, one more, and then you can put your Menti tab away. Let me pop over to it here. And you say, hey, in my organization right now, I've got all these data workloads that we're potentially attacking right now. I need to centralize data into my OneLake lakehouse or my Databricks lakehouse. I need to, leverage some of these new technologies like Gen AI and LLMs. Maybe I'm building new data solutions, etc. Any of those stand out to you as far as data workloads that you personally or your organization is focused on right now? And the reason I ask this is that, again, regardless of what data workload or workloads you're focused on, to me, they have this common theme. And the common theme or thread is, I need high quality, trusted, usable data that really these workloads and ultimately the end use cases are built from. All right, so I will swing back over here. Couple more slides. When we talk about end use cases too, you know, Fivetran as a data movement platform can be applied to any industry, much like Cosmos DB can, much like OneLake can. All three of those technologies are not industry specific, but they hold a lot of value when you start digging into individual use cases. And what I wanted to do here was give you an idea when you're talking about centralizing data or modernizing your infrastructure, making data more self-serve or building new data solutions, new data products, how some of these data combos really play into that lakehouse architecture. You look at manufacturing, maybe I've got device sensor data that's housed in Cosmos. I've got maybe some production logs and other detail around production for that manufacturing process in my Oracle database or my SQL Server database. And maybe I need material management information out of my SAP ERP system that is in ECC or S/4HANA, as an example. And these types of data combinations to drive decisions and to drive ultimately data products and data services, these are the combinations that Fivetran, Cosmos DB, and OneLake together, combined together, are really helping with. And I tell people all the time, what can't Fivetran do? If I get asked that question, well, first think about your lakehouse architecture or your cloud data platform architecture. If that workload that you're driving from those data sets is suitable for that platform, then Fivetran is probably a great fit. If you're saying, hey, Kelly, I need to surveil in millisecond latency operational data that's spinning off of my shop floor with one of the tools on my manufacturing shop floor, and I need to deliver that with Fivetran. No, I don't do that. And generally, you're not probably going to use something like OneLake or Synapse or some of the other platforms to do that. So that's how I answer that question. We're not suitable for everything, but if your cloud data platform or lakehouse platform supports that workload, generally we're going to be a pretty good fit. And there's a lot of work to do. I'm going to skip over this one. We're going to actually get into the demo here, but there's a lot of work to do when you talk about building your own pipeline and having to do dedupe, compact. I've got to deal with security as this PII that I'm sending over to the data lake, maybe from my database on the left-hand side there. So we try to take as much of that hard work out of it as possible. Data lake trends, you'll probably seen these. I want to actually get into the demo. I think that's enough slides. Jay, what do you think?
I am all for it. We love slides, but we always love a demo. And I want to remind everybody, if you are watching, we want your questions. So go ahead, put them in the chat. We will get to them. Also, remember, there is the link to the poll. When you need to, please go ahead, go there. I've got some links to some documentation that are all in the chat, and you can find them all in the description for the video. But that being said, we've got another half hour to go. Kelly, I'd love to hear more about this. So I'm going to hand it back over to you.
All right. Well, I am going to be moving around, and these tabs up here, this is essentially what we're going to see today. So I said no more slides. All right. Here's your Azure Cosmos DB to OneLake, kind of high level architecture. But let's get into this. I saw a lot of folks that were new to Fivetran. This is the Fivetran UI. Fivetran has multiple offerings. We have a pure SaaS offering. And then if you say, Kelly, I've got things like SAP, maybe I have some large relational databases on-prem today that I want to air gap prior to sending them up to Azure. I want to air gap from a data processing perspective. We've even got that solution as well. We've got a self-hosted solution. So think pure SaaS, not fake SaaS, pure SaaS all the way through to self-hosted. This is a SaaS solution you see today. And you can see that when I talked about earlier, any source to any destination. I've got a variety of sources here. I've got, well, right now I'm showing my OneLake destination. If I deselect OneLake, you're going to see a lot of destinations out here. So there's destinations in all of the hyperscalers. There's your destinations like Databricks, which operates certainly within Azure and other clouds, and Snowflake as well. I'll focus in on OneLake today. So let's just toggle that. The other thing you'll notice here is from a source perspective, you go, okay, you mentioned databases. Cool. I see a Cosmos DB connector there. I see there's an Oracle. I don't think I set up a SQL Server. There's HANA, SAP ERP on HANA. I also see applications like Salesforce. I see Facebook ads, for marketing. I see GA4 for marketing. This could be event connectors, could be really almost anything. When I look at, say, okay, Kelly, well, cool. You're showing me things you've already set up. Show me something new. Let's set up a new Cosmos DB to OneLake connector. And here you can see I've got 11 destinations. That's not all we have, but those are the 11 destinations set up in this Fivetran account. So we're going to pick OneLake today. By the way, I've got Cosmos up here. See Cosmos, and I've got also OneLake here. That's where I probably live between those three things, Fivetran, Cosmos, and OneLake today. So right now, you can browse the data sources. We have a lot more than 7. I have 7 bookmarked. I use them a lot. Here's Workday. What about how many total sources do you have, Kelly? Well, there is. Jay, that may be worth zooming in on. 534 out-of-the-box sources, okay, covering literally just about any type of database, any type of application, SaaS-based application, any type of file system or eventing system. You say, okay, well, you say that. What about Oracle? Yeah, there's a lot of options for Oracle there. Everything from Oracle applications like Fusion Cloud applications to Oracle RDS, Oracle, sitting in a data center somewhere. Doesn't matter where these databases reside. Could be on-prem, could be in the cloud, could be in a privately hosted environment. Same thing, SQL Server. If I go, okay, what about ServiceNow? Okay. And then if you go, okay, well, what about this new SaaS application called Colefl? No. And by the way, if I did, I have never built a SaaS company on my own or started a SaaS company. If I was, guarantee you I wouldn't name it Colefl. Jay and I were kind of kidding back and forth on pronunciation before. Jay's pretty good, by the way, on
I try my best. I do my best. I've come to learn in years and years, like always ask how a name is pronounced. Take a few minutes and kind of figure it out on your own.
Can you imagine if your SaaS company was named that though? But let's just pretend it was. Let's pretend it was. You go, well, Fivetran, you don't have this SaaS application Colefl. Well, okay, wait a minute. I didn't find the Colefl SaaS application, but I want to build a light connector. Okay, this is cool. What is this? 6-step program. Work with our product team. We will build you a connector for a SaaS application. Obviously, I need a publicly available API. It certainly helps if that API is documented as well. It's a quick process. We'll tell you yay or nay, and then we'll get this thing done. The cool thing is it becomes a first-party connector focused around the use case or use cases that you specify. So if I say, okay, well, what's that form look like? Bang, here it is. Fivetran Light Connector request, little email, what service, provide the URL, where's a link to the API documentation, etc. So very quick, very easy. If I don't find my Colefl application there, well, you could do that. But 534 sources, chances are, if it's not in this list right now, we may already be working on it. So, all right. We are going to go with today. Let's set up Cosmos DB. And you notice we got a couple of different flavors of this. We're going to go with the NoSQL API, but we also support the Mongo version as well. So talk about that in a little while, but this is one we're going to set up today. I've actually got it bookmarked. Let's set that up. All right. So couple of things as you go into Fivetran. I got this gray navigation over here. It has all my connectors, transformations, destinations, some other things we can get into. But what to me is best about Fivetran, and I mentioned I spent my some tough years in Hadoop land. And when I think about Hadoop land, one of the things that stands out to me is documentation was rough. I mean, rough. Apache project to Apache project to Apache project. It could be like literally almost nothing to sometimes okay. Rarely was it really, really good. Fivetran's documentation to me is outstanding. Most of us internally use this on a daily basis. We refer to it. In fact, you see some of the documentation up here. I've got linked up here as well. So I would say don't be afraid of using the documentation. It's really, really good. And it steps you through. You see these big blue markers. Okay, what do I need to do? I need to choose a connection method. I need to enable resource access on the Cosmos side. I'm not going to do that today because you can see I've already got Cosmos is set up with access, but if I needed to, that's what it would step me through, create that account key from a credentialing standpoint, and then finish the configuration. And if I go into the Cosmos DB page, I'm out of the setup guide now. You can kind of get an idea too, a really good idea of what does Fivetran support for Cosmos DB. Okay, I support either the Cosmos DB native API or the MongoDB version as well. I've got these configurations. Here's the connector limit per data, all of the little details. Oh, cool. Limitations. What can't I do? All of these things, what features? Okay, capture deletes. But wait a minute, this needs to be enabled upon request for deletes, inserts, and updates. No problem. I don't do deletes. That's not supported for Mongo with Azure Cosmos. So all these little things, again, documentation, awesome. I'm not going to step through all of this, but that's what you would go through to essentially help you if you need help on the setup form. Now, when you may have seen some data movement tools in the past, you go through a lot of work to create schemas and tables and saying, let me think about how all this is going to look in OneLake or in Synapse or in Databricks. No. You don't have to do that. I can name this schema whatever I want. I'm going to call this today Accelerate Cosmos DB to OneLake. And we'll say Reactor. Yeah. So Accelerate Cosmos DB OneLake Reactor. I can name that whatever I want. Fivetran is going to not only create the schema and associated tables in OneLake or in Synapse or Databricks or whatever the destination is, but schemas, tables, Fivetran will also manage any and all schema drifts. Something changes in that Cosmos DB source, which we'll demonstrate today. I'll make a change on a row, and we'll see that persisted over automatically by Fivetran. No code for change data capture, CDC, incremental changes. Fivetran handles automatically. So that's pretty cool. Here's my destination schema prefix. I got to get my credentials here on my other monitor. So there we go. All right. So I've got a couple of options. I don't know if anybody uses private link today. We do support that. Today I'm going to connect directly. So if you want to go Azure private link, you can. What is my URI? Give me a second here. I'm going to copy and paste that guy in. Okay, there we go.
And while you're doing that, I want to remind everybody, we want to answer your questions. If you have them, leave them in the chat. We'll address them as soon as we can.
Absolutely. Anything, Jay, that you need me to touch on right now?
You know what? Not right at the moment. Okay. We've got some shy audience members, so don't be shy. This show drives because you help it. We'd love to hear more from you. But for now, I want to hear more from Kelly, so handing it back to you.
Cool.
We got about 20 minutes left.
All right. Let me make sure I copied that account key properly. That looks good. And I've got an Cosmos container setup as well. This is the last thing I want to point out. Thank you for diverting the audience's attention while I'm copying and pasting these things. But you can see it's not that many things. If you've got your credentials established with Cosmos. This is really fast. This one decision here, I can either go packed mode, which is default. I actually want to go standard mode. I like this better. I want to unpack a layer of columns and infer types for all the tables. It's going to, as opposed to one column with the JSON for each row, I'm going to get this unpacked. It's pretty cool. So Fivetran does that automatically for you. We'll take a look at that in OneLake here in a second. So if I did copy and paste J, everything as I should have, let's save and test. And Fivetran is going to go out there and validate those credentials. We're doing this live in real time, by the way. And exactly what I just did, even though this is okay, Fivetran sales demo, this is Fivetran. This is Fivetran production SaaS platform. So exactly what we did, this is what you would do to connect Cosmos to OneLake. Connection test to pass, very cool. And I think this is not a big Cosmos instant. I think I've got maybe 1,000 rows or something out there. And that's all she wrote. I'm off to the races. I'm going to start that initial sync and I'm ready to go. Let's take a look here. What do I want to show you? Let's look at these logs. So all the logs we've got, let me tell you this. There's a lot more than just log information around what's happening with Fivetran from source to destination. And one of the things that we've done is, while that's persisting data, we created this Fivetran platform connector, which gives you you look at this, 28 tables worth of metadata associated with either a particular destination. I could say, give me all the metadata associated with every connector just for OneLake, or I can say, give me all the metadata associated with all connectors for all of my destinations in this Fivetran sales demo account. So that's available. We go way beyond just logging information to say, maybe I want to track all of that metadata and optimize what I'm doing with my Purview data catalog, for instance, with Microsoft, or another data governance solution. This will be persisted directly out into OneLake with that Fivetran platform connector. I can, use it. I can optimize. I can do whatever I need to do with that data to give me better downstream outcomes. So I think that's a pretty cool way to go, and it just made it really, really easy. Let's see, accelerate Cosmos DB, OneLake reactor. Yeah, we're exactly 1,000 rows. And I am Central Time. So it looks like our initial sync completed at 12:41 p.m. So we're looking good there. Let's go out. I'll do a quick check to see how we're looking in. Well, let me not go to Cosmos right now. Let me go out to OneLake. Let me refresh. This is OneLake is part of Fabric, Microsoft Fabric, by the way. I've been really impressed with the level of integration as it relates to Fabric, and how I've got Synapse Data Engineering. I've got Power BI. There's a lot of functionality, really cool, that Microsoft has made available, kind of like just the easy button to storing, accessing, and manipulating any of the data that I have within OneLake. And you can see in OneLake all the, here's an automate Salesforce. We may not quite be there, still processing. Here's that accelerate. It's going to show up in these tables here. So give it another second. I am going to refresh that. What I want to have is trusted, usable, but also understandable and organized data. Okay, cool. So here is, remember, okay, pop back out, schema name, accelerate Cosmos DB, OneLake reactor. Here I am in OneLake, accelerate Cosmos, OneLake reactor. And if I come out here, let's load a preview on that. And remember, I used unpack, right? So if I'd have packed it, we basically see probably, 3-4 columns here, because you get some Fivetran columns at no extra charge, like when was it synced and those types of things. But we chose that unpack option. So Fivetran inferred those columns and then added data in. Let's see here. So let's sort ascending. So I want to do this. So I've got, okay, I think everybody can see, I've got very organized, understandable data coming out of Cosmos DB into Fabric OneLake. Now, what I want to do is, let's take a look. Let's change Abby all press. Let's change all press maybe to Coleful. Let's see here, maybe. Let's go Swanborn. Do I have Swanborn out there? Last name. Let's do a search. Swanborn. There we go. Like that. Apply. Okay, cool. So here's Olga Swanborn. In Cosmos, I've got Olga Swanborn. Same record. Let's do this. I'm going to change Olga Swanborn. I've got a long-lost cousin by the name of Olga Coleful. Let's save that in Cosmos. Okay, so that's updated. Simple, yeah, simple update. Remember, updates, inserts, Fivetran handles. If you want deletes with the Cosmos API, let us know. We'll get that set up for you. But what we should see, let's go back out to Fivetran. Let's sync. Get that cranking. Let me look here. Where are we on logs? Yeah, so we're cool. So that's going to update that connector. That's going to sync. We're going to do what happens with Fivetran is we sync initially. We did a historical sync on those happened to be 1,000 rows in Cosmos. It said, here's what I want. Fivetran sets me up. I don't want to wait on this, but Fivetran sets me up for sync frequency of 6 hours out of the box. It's like, here's your default. Now, well, Kelly, that's not fast enough for me. I need a sync because my Cosmos DB data is updating constantly. And I want that Cosmos DB data combined with my SAP data, combined with my Salesforce data, combined with my GA4 data to be up to the minute for my downstream data products, my downstream analytics products that I'm developing. So I can set that to a minute if I want to. I can also do all the way up to 24 hours. For the rest of the time here, we'll leave it at a minute. I think we may have already synced. Let's look at an hour. I'll hit sync now just to make sure that we're cranking. Let's look at our logs. Sync in. Yeah, I think we did already. Let's go back out to OneLake. Now I'm back in OneLake in Fabric. Let's refresh this. This should change from Olga Swanborn to Olga Coleful because that was the update that I made in Cosmos. So let's update that. I don't know if I'll have to do a new search. I may have
And hey, Kelly, could you zoom that in just a little?
Yeah.
Just so people could take a look a little bit closer.
Sure.
I know I can't see anything anymore.
Sure thing.
Thanks.
I am the same. So let's go back out here. All right. Well, there it is, top of the list. So there, here, right? That is zoom in worthy right there. There's Olga Coleful. Remember, that was the change that we just made in the Cosmos database. And again, I know this is one tiny change, small change. All I'm really trying to do is illustrate that. Did anybody see me do any coding for CDC or incremental change capture? No, I didn't have to do it. The only thing I had to do, I just come out here to Fivetran and say, okay, I'd like to sync every minute. I want to pick up changes every minute, or I want to do, every 2 hours, 6 hours, whatever it may be. So that's about as simple as you can get for CDC. And oh, by the way, if we add a new connector to OneLake, guess what? Every one of these, almost, there may be a couple in there that do it a little bit differently, but let's say 500 plus of these sources automatically do CDC with no coding at all, zero. So you talk about, Jay, simplicity, speed, self-service, sustainability. I don't have to do let me keep my fingers crossed and make sure that Python script that I wrote is going to do what I think it's going to do, right? So that is, to me, that's the beauty of Fivetran. And then once I'm out in OneLake, when I'm out in Fabric here, I can start using any of the data access solutions that I have, or even data consumption solutions like Power BI is integrated into the OneLake Lakehouse. Synapse is integrated into the OneLake Lakehouse. All of these great Microsoft services are there available for you. So that is a really, really cool. The Fivetran engineering team, the Microsoft engineering team spent a lot of time working together to make that a very, very elegant experience. I want to mention too, I think I've got a couple of minutes left. I'll hit this quickly. Fivetran, the way we work in the transformation space, like let's say I wanted to add transformations to Azure Databricks. That wasn't Azure Databricks. Let's go back. Transformation, there's Azure Databricks. Let's say I want to add transformations to Azure Databricks. I can come up here and I've got 3 different options to do that. I've got some quick start data models that allow me to get analytics ready, tables and models ready to go that give me my aggregations right out of the box. I can use dbt Core, dbt Cloud. I could use really any transformation solution that I want. We try to make it really super simple with dbt, but we're not going to overly prescribe that you have to use that. If you've got a different way that you'd like to do transformations, then that is 100% okay as well. Let me see, what else do I want to cover here? I know we're getting close, so let me do this. I'm going to recap real quick Fivetran. And I hope I showed this. Sometimes I don't do a great job because I do, I like to talk about all these little avenues and ways that you can go down this. But at the end of the day, it is very, very quick, as you saw, to onboard Cosmos DB and 500 plus other sources into your OneLake Lakehouse, into Azure Databricks, into Azure Synapse, or whatever that destination is in your Azure cloud. Any type of source as well. So 10 minutes, I don't know that took us 10 minutes. We could probably, let's do a check. How long did that initial sync take us? Let's see, there's our Accelerate Cosmos, initial sync. Sync start 1241. Of course, small data set, right? So yeah, give me 1240. It's really quick. In fact, I can go out here and I can look at this. Yeah, so essentially that entire initial sync duration was only 30 seconds. Now again, setting up the connector, probably another couple of minutes when we started that process, but hopefully you get the idea. I mean, it is exceptionally fast to set up any source to any destination with Fivetran. We're always going to give you organized, understandable data. You saw I use that unpack with the Cosmos connector. I got those nice tables and columns, and I can work with that data immediately. Very cool. Could have gone just with the single column with those JSON strings as well. And then we are very, very light on your data engineering teams, your application development teams. You do not have to expect a heavy lift at all. And in fact, I feel like we democratized data movement even into business units if you want to do that and kind of adopt a little bit more of a data mesh type approach. Jay, what do you think? I mean, that's it for me. I got a little bit of, hey, what do I do next? But other than that, I hope I covered everything that you were looking for.
I think you did. And I learned a whole bunch in this session. I wanted to just briefly touch on like one of the APIs that Cosmos has available. Mongo. I know you talked about API for NoSQL, but I'm curious what you think about how does the process work as far as MongoDB on Cosmos DB go? Are we just using the standard wire protocol, like just to send stuff?
Okay, see, now you're getting way beyond my expertise. I knew you were going to stump me with 1 or 2 questions.
I've been working with Mongo for years, so I'm always interested.
When I was back at HashMap, brilliant guy. His name's Preetpal Singh. Preetpal, if you're out there watching this, a big shout out to you. And when I started going down paths of things like with NoSQL databases, Jay, eventual consistency and all this kind of stuff, Preetpal just started laughing at me, and he would send me if we were on a call together, Jay, he'd send me on text during the call. He would send me a little baby bottle, like basically saying, "Hey, you're just a little baby architect. Get out. Don't get out of your comfort zone here." So I'm gonna tell you, I have no idea on that question, but I can find out. Send that one to me.
Will do. Well, we're just about at the end of it. Did you have a slide that you might want to show about how people can get in touch with you later on? Just let me know when it's up and I'll bring it back up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ready to roll.
Cool. Here we go. If you want to get in touch with Kelly, these are some of the great places you can go. I know that they can also look you up on LinkedIn and have that conversation if they need to. And of course, you got your Data Drip podcast, which, very, very cool. I used to do some tech forward podcasting myself. It's always great. But then I just want to show you all one more second. Cool. So we've talked about all this stuff, but you know what? We need to kind of start wrapping things up. And to help me wrap it up, I'm going to bring in the always wonderful, always illustrious, the great Askia. Hi, Askia. We've heard a lot about in the chat about the reactor. Why don't you tell us about that survey?
Yeah, thank you, Jay, and thank you, Kelly. Excellent presentation. And want to thank you all for joining us. But yeah, at the reactor, we definitely appreciate the feedback. We definitely take it into consideration. So Jay's been so gracious to put up the contact information there. We've also put it in the chat. So any feedback you like to give, go ahead and shoot that to us, and we will definitely take it into consideration.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Askia. I know we've got another one coming up next month. I've got a really, really cool guest, and Jasmine Greenaway, who works on our advocacy team. I love her to death. We used to work together, and she is so special when it comes to presenting to people. But I had someone who's just as equally special and great at presenting to our audience than Kelly. Kelly, thank you so much for coming here today.
Jay, Oscar, it was a pleasure. I really enjoyed this. A lot of fun. Anytime you want to hear about what Fivetran and Microsoft are doing together, just reach out. Happy to join anytime.
Very, very cool. Thanks to all the people who are in the audience today. I do this show for you, and I want you to be part of it. So like I always say, if you want to come to a future meetup as a speaker, fill that down there out. I put it in the chat also. It'll be in the description for today's show. We want you to be part. But, the music's up, and the music is telling me that it's time to say goodbye. So everybody, let's give everybody a good wave goodbye. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Askia. We will see you all next time. Be good to each other. And if you're in New York, stay out of the snow. Bye now.
Thanks, Steve.
See ya.